Mr. Hunter.
So, again, let me just for everybody to hear this, anytime that we've been contacted by folks in the healthcare community with regard to clarifying, assisting this law, we've responded almost in real time to ensure that people understand the law. I mean, if you've been suggested to have this meeting, are there any doctors here?
I'm a nurse. I'm a master prepared nurse.
Okay, thank you.
And I worked on a pain management committee in the VA hospital when I worked.
Yes, ma'am.
I have to take a disability retirement due to back injuries, multiple injuries, knee replacements, 4 of them. And I'm going to tell you what, the doctors did cut us down. I realized that when you get your medicine cut down, you're going to have withdrawals for a couple of weeks. I understand that. I went through 2 weeks of that. I went through 2 weeks of more pain. And then I went through a whole month. Now to me, pain, to most people, pain management scale out of 10 is you crying. For me, out of 10, I reevaluated. Out of 10, I'm laying on my couch, I'm crying, and I can't socialize even with the doctor. You need to understand, sir, that I have called your office 3 times. 3 times I got the pain management crisis. Now I understand getting a pain management crisis. I was on a committee for pain management. I understand that doctors are responsible, and you're right, for putting people on pain medicine, sometimes too long, okay? I've been on it since I was 35 years old, since I had my first blood clot from a very bad accident.
I'm sorry.
I'm 58 years old now, and I've worked in nursing homes, and I've seen people writhing in pain. And I thought one day I'm going to be in a position where I can help those people, so when I get that age, I won't be laying there in pain. It's not a funny issue, it's a serious one.
I understand.
It is a very serious one, and it's a shame that you cannot look at that, because what's going to happen to me when I can't speak up because I'm in pain? So I tend to speak up now, because I've been there. I've been on your pain management, not yours. I've been on the government's pain management clinic, okay? I understand why people get hooked, okay? We got them off, but people in real pain, they were medicated for it, and nobody said anything further about it.
See, the problem is
29 years, no problems. 29 years pain meds, no problems.
Essentially what you're working on here, I think.
Except for killing the pain.
Hopefully, I didn't realize I was going to be doing this today, or maybe made it a little more succinct. But I'd like to start by legal, legitimate use of opioids is not addicts. We're not addicts.
Amen.
And my concern is that the policy for legal, legitimate opioid patients is limiting the access to adequate doses unjustly of our opioids we need. We're being negatively impacted by grouping legal, legitimate users who it's a miracle drug for them, with statistics for illegal use in narcotics and prescription, illegal use of prescription opioids.
correct.
And so these stats are being commingled and used to promote policy and rulemaking decisions. And actually, over time, I've been involved with this 15 years, 5 surgeries, 3 feet of scars, more to come, almost $1 million worth of surgeries. And so I've tried to play by the rules, but the pain is still there. And it's hard to understand. Our Oklahoma people are very compassionate, loving, hardworking people.
Thank you.
And it's very hard to understand what you may suffer in your life from severe, unrelenting pain. And that's what most of us are up against. And specifically, right now, the real problem that I have found is the 90 MME equivalent dose per day limitations that the doctors are harnessed by to try to treat us. There are times when maybe there's not that much even needed, but there's certainly times when a reasonable amount over that is needed, yet a limit to that is understandable. One thing I did hear quoted one time from a medical professional was that a study had been done where at 120 milligrams per day, opioids lose their effectiveness. However, what the study actually says is that and from experience, at 120 milligrams per day, they begin to lose their effectiveness, milligram per milligram. So this type of misrepresentation is out there, and these stats are being grouped. And I believe that's something maybe you could address somewhat as our Attorney General, that there's level the playing field when considering policy and rules.
Just the numbers alone right in there, the numbers that came from the slides, the 277 deaths were from accidental prescription overdose, okay? Right? That was the numbers in there, right? Is that correct?
I think so. A lot of numbers in there.
That's right around
There,
that.
We'll accept it.
It was around that. Yeah.
do you agree with that?
An
277 were from all prescriptions accidentally being taken over where somebody died, and that's prescriptions. 277. Do you agree with that? Do you think that was generally what was said in there?
Ma'am, I'd have to go back and look at the data.
To add to that,
Okay, so my point is we have 277 deaths from all of the prescriptions. This is not just opioids, this is everything. All the prescriptions from thousands of people who are taking prescriptions, all different kinds. And in the state of Oklahoma, we have 277 deaths. Yet right in here, we have a ton of people who are in chronic pain and can't even get the relief that they need, and that's okay? I'm not understanding. Where's our epidemic?
Where's that?
The problem is whether or not it was intentional. Our doctors are under the impression that if they don't abide by the CDC recommendation of 90 MME, which that was for general practitioners, not chronic pain patients. But our doctors are under the impression that if they have an unintentional overdose with a patient that has more than 90 MME, that you're going to prosecute them, whether they wrote the prescription legitimately or not. And because of that, they're cutting people back. My prescriptions, the medication that I take, for over 10 years, I took the exact same dose. I didn't get an increase. I didn't fail drug tests. I didn't claim my prescriptions were lost. For over 10 years, I took the same dose. And because of the Oklahoma Opioid Task Force, my doctor had to cut my prescriptions by 75%. That made it where I can't work. That made it where I can no longer go to OU football games.
Exactly.
It made it where I can't go out with my wife. Most days I lay in bed in pain.
No longer a taxpayer.
And there are people overdosing on oxycodone, for example. But most of those people that are overdosing on oxycodone are people that are not supposed to be taking the oxycodone. They're not supposed to- They've got a legitimate prescription from their doctor.
Yes.
My brother abused all sorts of drugs and it killed him. But he didn't have legitimate prescriptions for those drugs. If you tested his blood, it would have seemed like he died from a prescription overdose, but he didn't actually have a prescription.
No.
And that's the problem, is that, like he said, we're getting lumped into a
Unintended
group of
consequences.
addicts that are getting their drugs illegally, whether the drug itself is illicitly manufactured or it was just bought illegally from supplies that came from our southern border. Those are the overdoses that are happening, but we're the ones that are being punished. It's like the same thing with gun control. Gun control doesn't work on criminals, it works on law-abiding citizens. And a lot of us are in pain every day, and
We're trying to legislate behavior is what the issue, is what he's trying to express. And you're punishing, just like when they did prohibition with alcohol back in the 20s. That doesn't mean people aren't gonna still drink alcohol. But what you're doing is you're punishing those of us that have a legitimate reason and purpose for the medication, and we're getting thrown out with the bad consequences.
Yeah.
And we can't even get pharmacies to fill
I mean,
prescriptions.
they're paying our doctors.
Yeah, that's no yours.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So you've had your hand up?
To put it very shortly, it seems like there's an awful lot of baby being thrown out with the bathwater.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
I have a question about the committee or the task force that was created last summer. You said there were doctors and businessmen and different types of varying people on that committee. Was there anybody on that committee that ever has suffered with chronic pain or lived with the person that suffered from chronic pain?
Or
A person actually in the trenches of what this is.
Right.
I live with this man every single day. His doctor now gives him one pain pill to last 3 days.
No, not anymore.
No, not anymore. That was the last time he was able to get any. Now, not anymore. He's had rheumatoid arthritis for 27 years. His hip replaced, his right hip, twice. He has a pinched nerve in his back. He has a fused spine.
That's failed.
No one sees. Yes, his spinal fusion failed. Nobody sees what this man goes through every day, but I do, and I can't fix it. And you know what? I am an employee of this wonderful state that we live in, Oklahoma, and I believe in this state. But I believe that the committee that created the task force, whatever, they have to listen to people like this. There has to be someone on that committee that knows that doctors are wonderful, educated people, but until themselves have been in pain or literally had to go home to a person in chronic pain, not just seeing those people at the doctor's office, they become immune.
Yes.
But when you have to see them roll over in bed and let out a yell, and that's happened, I can't tell you how many times this week.
This issue is not only affecting us with incurable and chronic pain, but it's affected our families. How many people are a family or a friend of somebody and they have to watch them go through this every
So
day?
I question the committee or the task force that is deciding what these people need to do, what the doctors need to do for people like this. You go and you ask a doctor for a pain pill, you are labeled a drug addict.
Yep.
And I have
And that
been
wasn't
in the
true. That
room
wasn't
when
true
it happened.
Until 1446.
It was not
We're
true.
gonna have to get General Hunter out here in a minute. We have time for a couple more succinct questions. Please keep them.
I have one that's very, direct toward Mr. Hunter, probably, and I'll be very quick. My understanding is that the physicians may be concerned, there is leeway in the current law to write over 90 ml a day. Yet if the physicians do, there is concern, may be concern amongst them that they would be targeted for investigations.
They're all scared. They're terrified.
They're scared to death.
Doctors are terrified.
Let him answer, please.
So, just a quick word about what your physicians are telling you. So you probably know the state's in opioid litigation with manufacturers based on what we believe to be oversupply, false marketing, essentially defrauding doctors with regard to their...
They're guilty, no problem.
Okay. So I have been criticized on almost a 24/7 basis for not suing doctors. And the only doctors that we prosecuted criminally are doctors who are running pill mills. That's essentially all they do is people line up in front of their office and they're being provided pain pills. The only doctors that we are prosecuting are doctors who are acting in reckless disregard for their patients.
They're all
And
afraid.
if there is a sense out there on the part of your doctors that I'm on some sort of a witch hunt, nothing could be further from the truth.
Then that needs to be stated to the doctors.
Yes.
Doctors in writing.
Yeah,
They
in
are.
writing.
They're going to prison.
Okay, we have time for one more question.
Imagine that being your whole life, and you're a doctor.
One more
You're with your
question, please.
19 years of school.
Okay, shh.
And you're supporting a family, you have all of these high costs of paying back this insurance or student loans, going through this school, and all of a sudden, you know, you feel like you're gonna be prosecuted, even though you're trying to do everything right. You take away, as was in my case, they took away the sleeping medicine, so I had a problem with that because I couldn't sleep, and that caused me issues. And then but they did do some good things. There's a packet that if anybody has an accidental overdose or for any reason, you have that handy. And I paid $119 for my packet, even though I've been on the medicine for 17 years. But I liked having it. Who knows what could be in the future? You know, somebody could drop on your door from shooting himself up or something. You know, and that's good. And I didn't mind that.
What's your question?
There's a question over here, and then I'd like to propose an approach so that your concerns can be tabulated, recorded, and they can be reviewed in a systematic, constructive way.
We'd appreciate it.
And
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll just throw this out. Any of your doctors that want to talk to me, they need to call, because I haven't heard from your doctors.
They don't want to hear from you.
Wait. I know that you personally were invited to the medical board back October 22nd.
Dr. Kim has called you.
Let's not mention doctors' names, okay? The board meeting, both DO and MD board meetings, October 22nd.
My calls aren't screened.
Well, apparently they
They
are.
must be.
Folks, we've got to get him out of here. I
I
will
don't
stay
wanna get
after
into
your questions, but we've got to get him out of here.
Yeah,
Thank you, guys.
I'll take just a little bit longer, but everybody needs to know my calls aren't screened. Anybody that calls here, I'm made aware of it. And if a doctor is calling me to talk about problems that they're having, and we've had multiple inquiries from prescribers asking us to clarify or provide them guidance, and when we've gotten those inquiries, we've responded in real time. So I'm happy to systematically talk to your doctors. I'd be happy to talk to a group of them. But where we go from here, do you have sort of a chairman or a spokesman?
Janet.
We're working on that right now.
Okay, so what I'd like to do is, if you'd like to stay here for a little bit and compile the concerns that you've got, well then I'd like to get back together with you.
Okay.
And I'd really like to have some of your positions here so that I can address some of these
Without retaliation.
misconceptions.
Like I said, I think a lot of it's just unintended consequences, but we're not getting clarification out there. For instance, Sam's, Walmart, CVS, they're banning doctors without any due process. You can't get your opioids filled there anymore. Are you aware of that?
And not filling your prescription.
I'm not sure on what basis they're doing that, but.
I've got a copy of the letter.
They're scared.
Fear.
So, anyway, this all needs to be inventoried
Yep.
and in a constructive, systematic way. I'd like to get back together with you and we'll go through all of your concerns.
We'll write down some questions and some issues
That'd be
for
great.
discussion.
Midnight committee.
Now, there's a question over here, and I'll take just a couple more, and then I'm gonna have.
Thank you.
So right here and then over here.
Mine is a selection question as we want to give information. My husband is a veteran. He's disabled. He started taking gabapentin because of the neuropathy of his legs, which is unexplained. He does not have sugar diabetes. He has swelling in his legs where he has to wear special wraps every day. He has heart problems. He has had cancer. He's had 6 surgeries that are indirectly and directly related to the prostate cancer. He takes Requip. He was taking a ton of Tylenol. A ton. I mean 25 a day. The doctor told him that it was worse for him to take the Tylenol than it was to take the oxycodone. That it's not as bad on your liver and other problems. We go to a doctor, he has 6 specialists besides his general practitioner. And now, one of his doctors has resigned. He told us this specifically, that he resigned because of the new laws that came in effect because of his pain medication.
Tylenol.
My husband does not drive anymore. I drive 100% of the time. I'm a full-time caretaker of him. I have seen a man where his oxycodone was cut, where he was able to get out a little bit, ride his wheelchair up to our workshop in the back, and be able to work out in his workshop for a little bit. The man is 82 years old. They cut back his oxycodone. You know what he does most of the time today now? He sits in his chair. We've had to buy a new chair. We have bought a specialized lift bed for him, trying to ease his pain. He wears a TENS unit every single day that is portable, that he can hook on his belt and wear. We have another specialized TENS unit that he can wrap on his legs to help ease the pain. So this man is not addicted to drugs. He doesn't drink alcohol. He doesn't smoke. He quit that years ago. And yet he had to have his pain medication cut back. Now he's taking more Tylenol again. Tell me, what is fair? And another doctor told us that he prescribed some opiate for one of his patients that just finished surgery. And a certain pharmacy here in town would not fill it for more than 2 tablets a day when he prescribed it for 7 days. And they called him and told him that they would not give him more than 2 days at a time. And I understand that one other pharmacy won't fill him at all.
The pharmacists are afraid of getting in trouble.
They are.
Yeah, they are afraid. And the doctor, the pain doctor now that my husband goes to, tells us, I cannot give you any more of this. The state law states that I cannot do this. And now this makes 3 doctors that have told us, and remind you again, my husband has 6 specialists plus a GP. And I would really hope that you would take this committee and hear our voices, because we aren't addicts. My husband's not an addict. He's a man in pain and in tears.
We want out of pain.
That's all we want. We want your help. That's what we want. We want your help. We're depending on you.
Something we haven't mentioned so far in our conversations is how medical marijuana might help supplement opioid patients. But you can't have both.
No,
You can't even try both. So
No, doctor, as long as it's a class
if you
one,
help
we'll
with
touch
that,
it.
that would be great.
There's a lady over here that had a question.
Mr. Hunter, I just want to thank you first off.
Yes,
for talking
yes,
to us.
amen.
Exactly.
Secondly, I want to respectfully ask you, please don't, when you're on TV interviewing, please don't say that Tylenol and aspirin can help us, our loved ones, because it really
It don't.
It doesn't.
Please don't say that. Tylenol causes bleeding, gastrointestinal bleeding.
Tylenol
and
destroys the
your
liver.
So if you could just consider. please
So
don't
there is a
say that.
study, just so you hear me say it, inside it, there's a study that was in the Journal of the American Medical Association. And it's authoritative. But that study indicates that they've compared analgesics to opioids. And that study indicates that the benefits of opioids over other analgesics, and I don't ever mention Tylenol.
They excluded, but AMA also in November came out with resolution 235 that says they do not agree with CDC's 90 MME. They don't think it's sufficient.
That study, excluded patients that were taking pain medicine that needed pain medicine. It's
I
like
also would like to thank you
citing
for
ice
listening
cream
to us.
flavors that you never
And
don't
the
like
thing
ice
is,
cream.
Can we have a round of applause
Yes,
for the
thank you
attorney?
very much.
Mr. Hunter, I'd like to say, I've been on pain medications. I've had 2 back surgeries.
So anybody that's here, please understand, there was no effort and no motivation whatsoever to shame people who are being treated for chronic pain. And so I apologize that is something that y'all are suffering through, but that was never the intention of the commission or the legislature for that matter. So I hear you, and I'm sorry that that's happening because
And they
it's.
deny filling your prescriptions, that's what it looks like. And now, because the DEA is now having pharmacists, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, pre-screen all new opioid prescriptions because we can't go to chain pharmacies anymore. Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, won't touch us. So we have to go to independently owned compound pharmacies. And they've been told by the DEA if they have more than a 14% annual growth in opioids in a physical year, they're gonna get audited at a $15,000 fee. And not only that, but the pharmacies are now being asked to pre-screen all their new opioid patient prescriptions. So how can we not be treated like we're addicts?
Over 277 deaths that aren't even all related to opioids. It makes you question where the agenda is.
There's a lot of data.
Then you can take out the people that are doing heroin and the
Yeah.
illegal drugs, and they're putting it on us. You know, we're being punished for what they're doing.
And please keep in mind,
We don't want to
how
see
hard it is for us to speak out because we're giving up medical privacy
Thank
to
you.
speak out. And there's so many of us out there that really maybe can't come forward, you know, because of the stigma that may be attached.
And because of the pain they're in, this is a small percentage of the people that wanted to be here because since all the doctors are scared and are decreasing medications, a lot of the people that wanted to be here are at home.
Exactly.
General Hunter, well, it shouldn't be scared of me. I understand there's a question over here, and then I want to go over one more time how I want to conclude and then how I want to follow up. Because I want everybody to understand that we need to be constructive about these concerns.
We're looking
So
for
let's
solutions.
get them all
That's not a problem.
documented, and then we'll get back together and we'll go over them
Outline it.
systematically. Yes, ma'am.
The only thing I always want to say is, I've tried everything. I even went back to the doctor that did the surgery on me because I've got hardware in my back. And he told me that my spine had actually, he said my back was critical. My spine had been shifted to the right.
Yeah.
And he said that at my age, I'm 64 years old. At my age, I'm on blood thinners. I've had blood clots. I can't take aspirin. I can't take Motrin. There's a lot of the anti-inflammatories I can't take because of the blood thinners and everything. And the only way I can get up in the morning is to be able to take my pain medication. I don't abuse it. I take it as it is prescribed. Sometimes I try to go longer without it to see how it will feel, and I get to where I can't even walk. And I'm just saying, I'm not an addict. I'm an evangelist. I preach the gospel. And God only knows where my heart is. And I believe God can heal me. That it be in His time, not mine. And in His time, He created doctors. There's a doctor in the Bible, you know. And I believe that my doctor, he's a Christian. I went to him, he's prayed with me, he's talked with me, he knows the situation I'm in. And I'm just saying, hear our voices. We're not addicts. We're here because we're in pain and it's our livelihood.
I understand.
Mr. Hunter, do you feel that you're getting a more of a gist of the whole issue rather than just what?
Statistics.
Yes.
Well, my commitment, ma'am, my commitment to everybody in here is that let's inventory your concerns.
Mm-hmm. Good idea.
And then we'll get back together and we'll spend an afternoon or a morning going through everything. And I'm happy to talk to your doctors. And some of this stuff may be based on misunderstandings, but I hate it that there's this view that there's some kind of a witch hunt.
Well, the DEA doesn't help much when they come in on Halloween and raid a doctor in Stillwater.
And it's nationwide, it's not just Oklahoma.
Yes.
Well, and I think it's a true, I mean, I think it's just a feeling everybody in the room that the people that see them every month, every year, that have seen them for 20 years, have a better understanding of what they need and what is going to allow them to be human beings.
Be functional.
Than somebody that just looks at some data and comes up with an idea.
Yes.
I'm a science teacher. I deal with that, and I deal with people every single day and stuff. And I think what these people just want to do is have the people that look them in the eye every month and hear what they're going through every month. Those are the people that have the greatest influence on whether or not they get to be treated like human beings. Simple.
Well, everybody in here matters. Individuals matter. And if you get to a point in public service where you don't look at it that way, you need to get out of public service. So I understand that there are things that we need to think through and work through. But again, we need to have an inventory and kind of systematically address everything that people are seeing and hearing and the problems that this law is creating.
We have a list of
And I
specific
feel
issues
like,
about the law and the CDC
Okay.
that we have issues with, and we
Okay.
provide that to you.
so we have your contact information so we can schedule a time to get back together?
Sure, I can provide it to you. You want it?
Okay.
Has this opened your eyes to what we're talking about, what we're doing, what we're through?
Well, again, I hesitate to be negative or critical of your treating physicians, but they're in the best position to help us understand, again, what kind of changes need to be made, what kind of clarification needs to occur. But the thing that I hate worst about what you told me is that these doctors think that this office is on some kind of a witch hunt with regard to doctors. So if it weren't for a great ophthalmologist in this state, I'd be blind. I've had 2 detached retinas. My son was in a car wreck. They didn't think he was going to live, and some of the finest doctors in the world made sure that he got better and was out of ICU, and he ended up being a great basketball player. So nobody is more sensitive to, nobody is more humbled by and respectful of the medical community than me, because I've been on the other side of this. So I hear what you're going through, but for me to deal with this in a way that's constructive and decisive, we just need to identify stuff and just go through them seriatim. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, sure. So we'll get back together, and if those physicians of yours that want to come, they need to be reassured that
The one who said he didn't know about. We signed this email.
Okay, so home invasion,
we'll figure it out.
give us
Okay?
information so that we can make